Account with the same name. The Circle Made Everything, all one word, without any math content if you're not interested in math videos. I pulled up some of my old blog posts and figured I'd put them on record and share them. Maybe I'll come up with some new ones as well. So this one's titled Unhappy People Meddle, Happy People Love. And this, I believe, might have been my first post. This is a cute little picture of my neighbor's puppies. So for me, being a teen was one of the toughest things I've ever experienced. People are very judgmental. And as a teen, you're very insecure, and the combination does not mix well. I personally came from another country when I was 7, and we went through a lot of name-calling and bullying and fights. When I was hurt by somebody or upset, I was often told to forget about it or let it go. These two phrases, while they might be true and helpful, especially for adults, often sound dismissive towards what you feel, especially as a young person. What you feel is a very enormous problem. I also remember that when I was hurt, facing difficulties, not succeeding, or generally in a bad place, I would do the natural thing and compare myself to other people. Now, being younger, I didn't have much experience to really go on, and I would judge myself in my most vulnerable moments, comparing my failures to other people's success, really comparing my worst situations to their best face, because we really don't know what other people are going through. So I would judge and compare myself to other people's success, not realizing I didn't really have a complete picture of the person or their struggles or their own insecurities. As a result, I believe I'd make a bad situation an awful lot worse, emotionally, and basically beat myself up, which is what we do. We beat ourselves up. As I've gotten older, I've come to realize two things that have helped me tremendously. People who get involved in your business, bullies, they might say haters or poop talkers, are not happy with themselves. And that's not to put them down. It's to say they're continuing a cycle of things that they've already been going through or that someone's done to them. And I'll explain why. And number two, it's when we're the most vulnerable and feeling badly about ourselves that we compare ourselves to other people's best face, meaning the way they look, especially nowadays with social media. I believe I wrote this before Instagram was invented, right? But when we look at Instagram and social media, we look at people's best face, what they want you to see. The fun they're having, the way they look great, how their whole life is perfect. So I'll focus on the first of these, and maybe the next blog entry. I actually do have a blog entry on how we compare ourselves to other people's best face or best foot forward. So anyway, I was picked on a lot and teased when I was in middle school and high school. And I think it was mostly because I was different, not just because I came from another country. I know I'm very different than most people. And I was a white kid from Canada in a nearly all Hispanic community, Latino and Latina. And I liked school and learning, and people would call me a nerd. I couldn't really afford to dress nicely. I was teased for wearing Payless shoes. I didn't have my first pair of Nikes until I was in 9th grade, which were stolen 2 weeks later from someone in my own team on the basketball team. I liked to run, which back then was very weird. Nobody was doing it. It wasn't cool. There were no fun runs and 5Ks and 10Ks. And when you're different, people tend to point that out. So when you're teased or picked on, you're not really secure with yourself, and it really cuts deeply. I was very insecure, and it affected me for years. Even into adulthood. And there's more to it. It wasn't just the bullies. It's just things you hear and feel growing up. And now that I'm older, more confident, and more accepting of myself, I don't think that someone teasing me or making fun of me would even hurt at all. It wouldn't hurt me badly. In the rare times I hear someone making fun of me as an adult, you're not really picked on in the same way, just so you all know. But when I was made fun of or criticized as an adult, I'd usually say something to myself or to them, something like, yeah, I am this or that, so what? Yeah, I do like different music, so what? I do dress funny, so what? And people rarely have a response. In fact, it reminds me of when I was younger, probably 5th or 6th grade, and this kid kept teasing me about my shoes. Ha ha, you have Payless shoes. Ha ha, you have Payless shoes. And one day I was just so frustrated. And I said, okay, so you're making fun of me for being poor. Is that it? Like, really? And the kid kind of looked around like, and didn't know what to say. And the kid stopped doing it. He never did it again. So sometimes we might not even realize what we're doing, or even what we're saying, or how we're making other people feel. And people rarely have a response when you call them on something like this. And even if they did, I'm not sure as an adult it would matter. Because you start to know who you are, and who you are is none of really their business. So, having gotten much more stable and secure, which most of us do as we get older, I'd say we start to cherish ourselves. As I got to a more stable and secure place in my life, I've come to realize that the happier I am with myself and my own life, the less I judge other people or meddle in their business. In fact, the reverse is true. I realize when I stop judging others, I stop judging myself as much. So it works both ways. In fact, when I'm in a good place in my life and happy and confident, I tend to be more concerned with being kind, caring, compassionate, and having a good time, right? Rather than judge, criticize, or put others down, I tend to be more thoughtful, more patient, and look out for others. And I'm not perfect. I don't do it all the time. But it's something where I used to visualize being at the beach. If you're in the Bahamas on the beach with beautiful sand and beautiful water and sipping iced tea, are you busy thinking about others and judging them? No. So when you're happy and you're content, you don't judge others. You're just busy being happy and content. So this has helped me to understand the mindset of someone who's maybe mean or judgmental or critical or who bullies, which I might have done myself, I'm sure. They're not happy, usually, these people, or peaceful with their own lives, and not in the sense that I'm criticizing them, like, oh, you're just mad at me because you're not happy with your life, to put them down, but usually someone else did that to them, and they learned it from somewhere. Now, this isn't something I would tell a bully to rub it in, and I don't think, ha, you're not happy, I'm better than you, you're just doing that because you're not happy. It's more of a way to help me understand why they're doing it, and that it doesn't have much to do with me. It's really something to do with their own issues. In some ways, I wish I could explain that to students better. I once had a student whose father was in jail and got out and really didn't want anything to do with them. Said, why are you trying to impress me with your good grades? I don't care, I don't love you, nothing you could do will ever make me love you. It was tragic. She was so devastated. And it's really hard to understand is that in that moment, her father couldn't love her. And it didn't have anything to do with her. She was precious and lovely and smart and all these other things. But oftentimes, in situations like this, it really has nothing to do with you. It has to do with you just being there at the moment. They'd be making fun of someone else if it wasn't you. And if we knew this, maybe we would take it a little less personal. So this also applies to loved ones and friends. They'll have bad days and moments where they're tired, hurting, angry. And in these moments, they'll often unintentionally overreact or lash out or be mean to you or be frustrated. I do it all the time. Usually if someone's reacting out of the ordinary, I sometimes think, and my first thought is to wonder whether they're having a bad day or something else is going on. And as a teacher, I've come to really consider that more and more. Like, what's the bigger issue going on when you're this upset? When we're insecure, we tend to make the most of things about ourselves. We really blow things up out of proportion. When someone is mean or hurtful, we take it so personally. When we're tired and when we're feeling down, it really cuts us the most. When someone lets us down or disappoints us, or even a date cancels or something, or we have other situations where someone disappoints us, we tend to automatically think it's something we've done wrong and begin to beat up ourselves psychologically. I mean, I'd even go so far as even cheating, right? When we get cheated on, we even think that it's our fault. And what did I do wrong? Why am I not good enough? When it really has to do with the other person not being satisfied and not being able to value what's in front of them, or to be respectful enough to break it off if they don't value the relationship enough and want to spend time with someone else. This is part of the negative cycle, or one of my other blogs I'll post is it's the radio station. We have this radio station in our head, and we hear these things that remind us and tell us negative things and bring us down. I'm not good enough, my nose is too big, my hair is not good, I'm not strong enough, smart enough, whatever it is. We have these radio stations that we literally can turn to another station with the right amount of practice. But we tend to fall victim to this radio station in our head, this little voice. And we need to begin to treat ourselves with kindness, compassion, and learn to accept that sometimes we don't even know why people do things that are hurtful. And rather than taking it personally and automatically blaming ourselves, we should consider maybe it has nothing to do with us. And that's not in every case. Sometimes we are part of the problem. But anyway, this helps me a lot as a teacher. When a student isn't themselves and lashing out or gives attitude, they might say, or is rude or angry, rather than creating a confrontation, if I can help it, right? If I don't get triggered, I try to think about that. And I don't have to prove that I'm the person in charge and I'm the boss. And again, it's hard to resist. But I try to wait, let the moment pass, and talk to them privately or take them outside. And again, I'm not perfect. I don't always do this. So it's not easy to do because it involves swallowing my pride in front of even sometimes 30 to 38 students and acting kind and really being humble, letting me be the bigger person and not return their anger and frustration for the same. So the Dalai Lama once said that a compassionate attitude helps you communicate more easily with your fellow human beings. As a result, you make more genuine friends and the atmosphere around you is more positive, which gives you greater inner strength. This inner strength helps you spontaneously concern yourself with others instead of thinking only about yourself, and even prevents you from thinking that people are out to hurt and attack you when sometimes they're just hurting inside themselves. So when I talk to a student, my first question is often along the lines of, did something happen earlier? Was something bothering you? Friends, family, a boy, girl, something's going on? And more often than not, the student will take some time and eventually explain the situation, or they might take a day or two. But again, it doesn't always work. I myself am not perfect. I get upset as well. And I have yet to have a student say, no, you're the problem, I'm being mean to you because I hate you, I don't like you. I really haven't had that. And so you realize as you get older, it's really not about you a lot of the time. As a teacher, I'm always amazed at some of the things our students aren't even dealing with. That's, for example, the student I mentioned where her father doesn't love her and says it doesn't matter what you're doing to impress me and all the good things you're doing and the success you're having. I don't love you. And right, what is that really but a father who doesn't know how to love because of whatever he's gone through and the frustration and anger and suffering he has been going through. So, it's not easy. It does take strength and courage not to be self-centered. Sometimes you have to fight the urge to take things personally and acknowledge that someone's anger, bullying, venting really often has nothing to do with you. So Dalai Lama has also said, there's another quote, through analysis and contemplation you will come to see that much of our misery, suffering, and pain really results from a self-centered attitude that cherishes one's own well-being, what we want, at the expense of others. Whereas much of the joy, happiness, and sense of security in our lives, the good stuff, arise from the thoughts and emotions that cherish the well-being of others, including ourselves. So when people are not being kind, compassionate, or loving, they usually are not in a good place in their own lives. And it could be helpful to recognize that. It's important to understand, not so you could rub it in and be judgmental, but so you could be patient, understanding, and even not hurt yourself too much by taking it too personally. And understand and acknowledge that their reaction or overreaction is not necessarily about you. This can help you not take things so personally, so you're not sucked into a fight and don't make things worse with each other and let your emotions take you or the person hostage, which can lead to even more anger, depression, and deep-seated insecurity, sadness. So don't take things personally and don't allow yourself to be sucked into the drama. I know there's a commercial about Snickers where they talk about being hangry, angry and hungry. And sometimes even that, it's not about you, it's about the person who's just not in the right place and they're frustrated. And when things aren't going our way, we tend to lash out on others. I remember recently watching It's a Wonderful Life with my mother and seeing how Walter had all these things falling apart. His business, he might go to jail, nothing's working right, and he just lashes out at his family, lashes out at his wife, lashes out at his uncle, and even goes so far as devaluing his own life until he realized the impact that he makes and how much he has done for others and how valuable he is and how valuable we sometimes forget we all are. But that's another blog post. Unhappy people meddle. When people are not happy, they tend to be frustrated. They take it out on others a lot of the times. I do too. But when people are really happy, like, they treat you well, and they don't think about you. They're busy being happy. I've sometimes talked to students about fights. If you hate somebody and fight them, are they ever going to say, "Oh, you're right, you're better than me," or "I do like you, we should be"? No. It tends to make it worse. But a lot of times, even we get sucked in, where someone puts us down and we want to prove to them that I'm valuable and I'm worth something. So when they say you're a loser, let's say, you want to prove, "No, I'm not." And sometimes we have to stop and just ask ourselves, like, are you? Because we know we're not, I think, deep down. And sometimes that reassurance is all we need so that we don't let others' bad behavior trigger us into our own bad behavior, frustration, depression, and anger. But generally, people who aren't happy get involved in other people's business. So anyway, this is a great reminder for you and for me. If you catch yourself meddling and gossiping and being involved in others' business, angry, heated, full of emotion, anger, irritation about someone else or what they do, try to redirect your mind and ask yourself, what's really bothering me if I'm getting worked up? Am I happy or confident? What's really going on here that is making me care about others in an unkind, unproductive, and counterproductive way? You'll find that more often than not, other people trigger things inside of you from your past that you're upset about. Perhaps we need to think about that. And perhaps we need to work on being a little bit more patient, kind, and even healing whatever it is that sets off our frustrations when someone triggers us. But, generally unhappy people meddle and happy people love. And they're kind and good and want what's good for us. And we never know what somebody else is going through. That's the other point. And I've always been surprised at just how much some people are going through and they bottle it in. So it's not being the bigger person because you're weak, but man, having that strength to be the bigger person when someone's taking something out on you, it really shows courage, and it shows that you're able to develop patience and not take things too personally.